everyone, I'm Alana Pierce, and welcome to IGN's VR Mechanics 101 presented by Oculus. The way we experience stories in VR is so unique to that medium, in large part because players usually have complete control over where they're looking. It's entirely possible that you could be staring at one pretty thing while important narrative-driving drama unfolds somewhere else in a 360-degree space. Because of that, developers have to focus on guiding our attention rather than just writing words. A combination of smart world design, sound design, and visual cues can drive players through 360 degrees of virtual freedom, and different games certainly exercise different approaches.
It is growing harder to separate the real from the imagined.
Edge of Nowhere is a great example of how to make a traditional video game narrative work in VR. It's a third-person action-adventure that uses a bunch of different techniques to naturally breadcrumb players through a story with a particularly smart use of directional audio. You know where to look because you hear where sound or dialogue is coming from.
Ava?
Sometimes it actually doubles down on that by putting you in environments that don't have a whole lot to see during dialogue-heavy sequences, like in the cockpit of a plane with nothing but white coming through the windows, distracted from the game's narrative direction, and most probably won't even notice this design choice. In some instances, Edge of Nowhere also features actual cutscenes with a fixed camera. That's pretty uncommon in VR, but works when put in the right places for things players absolutely cannot miss. It's an interesting risk that doesn't really exist for older storytelling mediums. On a completely different note, Lament is a beautiful, colourful VR film without any spoken dialogue. Instead of having you control the story's protagonist, you act as nothing more than a giant floating camera, an observer in the skies. You can look wherever you wanted, and that's almost encouraged since the environments are so dense and fascinating to look at, but Lament's purpose is to tell a story. While it doesn't force you to watch the center of the action, and you are actually able to step back to zoom out or lean in to zoom in some cases causing you to miss scenes entirely, the story is pieced together in a way that those choices will only make your experience feel more personal. Because of that, and the lack of dialogue, the storytelling has to depend on things you will encounter, and your desire to look for it. And it is a touching story about a family and parenthood, but that's definitely selling it short. It's loosely based off of a story published in 1845 called The Little Match Girl that tells a story about a dying child's dreams. It's a genuine human tale that's made all the more impactful by the unparalleled immersion VR can offer, and while it is short, it's a great proof of concept for VR films as a whole. To completely contrast the other two games we've spoken about, let's see how VR tackles comedy with Rick and Morty Virtual Rick-ality.
Morty clone, pay attention to me. I need you to take this laundry and put it in the washing machine.
Made by the same team as one of the most popular VR games ever, Job Simulator, this adaptation of the highly regarded TV show has some unique challenges. Timing is so important to comedy, and when players have some control over pace and complete control over how much attention they pay to action, how do you make something funny, especially when it's all in first person?
Oh, good, you found the watch. You're not as dumb as I thought. Okay, use that to call me back once you get the lay of the land.
Virtual Rick-ality, of course, has witty writing, ridiculous scenarios, and is littered in references to the show, but the funniest moments come as a result of the things you personally actually do, like clearing some unsavory things off of Rick's PC, to pick one of the tamer examples. And thanks to a cohesive story, what you do is contextualized very well. You're one of many disposable Morty clones, so you do a bunch of compromising stuff, and you, as a player, are often actually the butt of a joke, even in death.
Boy, this Morty clone, he really doesn't know what the hell it's doing.
The power of player agency has you personally feeling like you're the one completing the different tasks, and that's such a powerful and unique thing to tackle in VR. Rick and Morty Virtual Rick-ality is a pretty short VR experience, but it's a great example of both how to make VR games funny and how to successfully put franchises people already know and love on new hardware.
Hi, looks like you're dead. Welcome to Purgatory. The devil's not available, so you get me, the devil's secretary.
That was a look at how 3 different games tell unique stories through VR. For more Mechanics 101 and VR in general, keep it right here on IGN.
This video is presented by Oculus, and for more Rift experiences, visit oculus.com.